day, everybody, and welcome to the African EV podcast, where we talk about sustainable energy and transport solutions for Africa. My name is Gad Ashiago, and I'm moderator of African EV. Before we introduce our special guest today, we have one more person on the call, one of our members on the call. Mohammed, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Adidoku Mohammed Ali is my name. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. Adidoku Mohammed Ali is my name. I am founder and CEO of Bright Cloud Automobile Limited from Nigeria.
Okay. So I am from Ghana, if you're watching this, and today our special guest is Reuben Kihiu. Wait, how do I pronounce that? Is it Reuben Kihiu?
Kihiu.
Co-founder of
Yes.
Chargi Energi. Reuben, welcome to the African EV podcast.
Thank you.
Okay. So I got the name right?
You're getting there.
Please teach us how to pronounce your name.
It's Reuben Kihiu.
Kihiu. Okay. Reuben Kihiu. It's a pleasure.
Just for now.
Okay, Reuben. Okay, so Reuben, tell us, who are you? What's your nationality? What's your background?
So, like I said, I'm Reuben Kihiu. I'm from Kenya, Nairobi. I'm a CEO of Chargi. My background is in computer science. I'm a tech person by profession. I am a software developer, front-end dev, and product designer. So that is my day-to-day job. And then I'm also a person who is interested in the electric mobility space and startups in general. I'm the co-founder of a few other startups. Most notably Ficardelivery in Kenya, that is a food and drinks delivery company. We do food and drinks delivery in smaller towns like Thika in Kenya and Nyeri. And so it is from Fika that the idea of Chargi came to be, and then brought together a team and we started Chargi. And so that is what I do. You might notice I'm quite young, but I sort of started my journey pretty early in life, and so it has culminated to being this far now.
Okay. I don't know. When you spoke about Ficardelivery,
Yes.
What's different about this Ficardelivery concepts that you guys came up with? Because that was what led you to emobility. So it's very important we gain clarity about that. A software developer who decided to start a delivery company. What was the connection to tech?
It was actually very interesting because with Ficardelivery, we have an app, sort of the same with Uber Eats or Glovo or many other food delivery companies that we have. And so we actually just set out to do the same thing, probably with a different niche market of smaller towns, because you find that most of these big companies, both food, Uber Eats and all, they are quite huge to be able to scale down to smaller markets. Their business model fits bigger cities. And so there was nobody to serve the smaller man in the smaller towns. And so we decided to sort of have that as a niche model, as niche market, and focus on that. So, we built an app. We built several versions of the app. And as we were doing our pilot and like our first phases of operations, you often want to analyze data, especially from a pilot, to see where you're doing wrong, where you're doing bad, where you're doing good. And after looking at all our prospects, logistics was one of our main issues. And so, you know, bikes and, you know, fuel and maintenance and all that. And so after, you know, just, you know, casual conversations with guys, I happen to be a person who is quite well connected to the tech space in Kenya, you know, because I'm very active in tech communities and all. And so we happen to be very close with some of our friends who have an engineering company. And so through you know, casual conversations, we were like, how can we streamline our operations? How can we streamline our logistics and make how we move food cheaper? And one of the ideas that came, you know, floated around was the idea of electric bikes and electric motorcycles and the whole EV space. And because initially that was last year, that was mid last year, and we weren't aware that there are other people in the EV space, you know, that there are other people bringing EVs. And so we started our research, you know, on what is happening in other countries like India and China and Southeastern Asia in general. And so after realizing that, after, you know, finding out that, you know, electric bikes are quite a big thing there, and the industry is already peaking and there's a lot of progress, you know, we now went ahead to look at what is happening at home locally. And through our research, we found that there are quite a few companies that have either outsourced manufacturing from China or India and, you know, done the designs of the bikes and are now importing the bikes in Kenya, or they are just or they're bringing in parts and doing assembly, or others are just simply going out there and buying bikes, ready-made bikes, and bringing them to Kenya. And so from our initial research, we found that we have around 5-6 main manufacturers in Nairobi who are doing that. And so because our initial idea was to do the same thing, was to bring our own bikes. We actually had someone who was willing to partner with us and have us bring in our own bikes from China. But then after analyzing the whole space and what is happening, and one interesting thing that we realized was that most EV companies that are there in Kenya are bringing in swappable bikes, so swappable battery bikes. And that is a concept where instead of having a bike, by bike I mean motorbike, instead of having a bike where you have to take it to a charging port every 3 hours to charge it, it has a detachable battery where you can go ride your 100 kilometers or so. And when your battery is done, you can get into a swap station and swap the empty battery with the full one and continue with your ride. And so, you know, EVs have now been made as convenient as. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So you find that now they have made EVs as convenient as normal ICE bikes, because you can just go in, swap a battery, and go, as if you're now bypassing the whole charging time inconvenience that is there with EVs. And so having discovered that, we realized that bringing in our own bikes and adding to the pool of already established companies may not work best for us. So we decided to work on a niche, on a gap in the market that was not solved, which was charging. Because most of these companies, yes, they're bringing in bikes. They want their bikes to be, the best suited for the African terrain, for the Kenyan terrain, and for the Kenyan use, which is mostly border use. I don't know if you're conversant with the border term. More of just like motorbike taxis for those who are watching. And so the companies are focusing most of their resources and effort and time to make their bikes better and to make their batteries better and bigger. But then there are not many of them focusing on charging. How will we make charging, or in this case, swapping, more widespread to everyone? Because there was a chicken and egg situation that is actually currently there. You find that you, as a consumer in Nairobi, wants to buy an AV, will not want to buy it right now because the infrastructure is not there. Okay, they're not sure whether if they ride their bike and they go out into town, they're not sure they'll get a place where they can charge the bike or swap the battery. Okay, So they are not inclined to buy EVs, even though they are good, they are cost effective, they cut operation cost by half. They still won't buy them because of the convenience of the ICE that is there currently. But then on the other hand, the manufacturer will not bring in many bikes into the country because they risk bringing in many bikes and then not having customers. So they're only bringing in bikes that they sure will have a market, or to just try out and see if people will adapt them. So on one side, the manufacturers are not making sales because they do not have infrastructure, and because they are waiting for people to buy the bikes so that they can set up infrastructure. Okay, so manufacturers are waiting for consumers, and then consumers are waiting for manufacturers to set up infrastructure first. And so we decided to come in and break that chicken and egg situation, where we will set up infrastructure without hinging it on either sales or adoption into the country, into Nairobi. And so we are working on a model where we now set up, so we want to set up a charging station, like a mega charging station, and then a very wide network of swapping stations in Nairobi. And so that, on one side, consumers will now be more inclined to buy EVs because they will have our network. And then the manufacturers will get more sales now because, they'll be able to hinge on our network. And, once they sell a bike, for example, if they sell a bike to you, they'll be like, yeah, so you can ride this bike, and anytime you're in Nairobi or wherever you are in Nairobi, you can always get into a ChargiEnergi substation and get your battery swapped without them having to actually invest any capex into that network. So it's a win-win for everyone. And when we talked to a few of them and realized that they're also very interested in it, and we visited their premises, and we are now in the early stages of talking collaboration. We're already in advanced stages with some of them to do a pilot, which I'll tell you more.
Thank you very much for the intro. But what then happened to Ficardelivery? Because it seems that in pursuit of this whole EV space, you are moved more and more away from this whole Ficardelivery concept. I hope you get what I'm saying. Because I was wondering, when you say Ficardelivery, are you delivering individual items to individual consumers, or it's more like bulk delivery to a town? The Ficardelivery idea.
So for Ficardelivery, what we decided, so initially we were actually working under the banner of Ficardelivery, but then we decided to just branch out and have a separate brand with Chargi and just focus on that. But what Ficardelivery was doing, it was just basically like Uber Eats. You order food from one of our vendors, like
so it's consumer centered. It's a consumer centered.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I get that. So that means that you then move from Ficardelivery to focus on Chargi. Is that not so?
Yes, I'm technically still in Ficardelivery. I'm doing both, but you'd say my energy currently is just more focused on ChargiEnergi right now, because Ficardelivery is more of it doesn't require me so much because it's already like established and things are like running by themselves right now. And so
it's generating revenue.
Where my effort is most needed is Chargi, because we're just starting. And pardon?
I'm saying Ficardelivery is generating revenue.
Can you?
Hello?
Not really. My work at Ficardelivery. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. So I'm saying my so Ficardelivery, because we recently moved to Thika, as another town in Kenya near Nairobi, and so we are still in the process of setting up in Thika, and doing early marketing and all. But my work at Fika was mostly technical, or is mostly technical as a PM, just being a product manager, making sure everything with the app is being developed well and the app is within the timelines and all that. And so being a PM at Ficardelivery, most of my work is just sort of supervisory, and like I'm not really needed to be there hands-on every day. And so because we have the developer already, like the developers working on it, and the final touches of the app and everything to sort of do the transition well into Fika. And so most of my effort is not required there. So I just sort of do it like 2 days or 3 days in a week just to make sure everything is going okay. But the rest of my effort is just focused on
Charging. Okay, so let's come back to charging. Now, you spoke about chicken and egg situation. And Mohammed is on the call. Mohammed, or you want to jump in at this stage? You have some questions for him at this stage? Because I have a list of questions. Maybe Mohammed, you start.
Yeah.
You see, the reason why I want Mohammed to maybe have first bite at the cherry before I continue is because he has an e-mobility startup in Nigeria also. I hope you understand.
Yes.
So, in a sense, his products are going to be consumers of your services. You get what I'm saying? I don't know whether they have an e-bike concept, but Mohammed, you start with the follow-up questions. This is the intro.
All right. Thank you, God. We also have an electric bike and bicycle concept we are also intending to introduce into the market as well. So my first question is the battery pack. Does the battery pack belongs to the to his company, or it belongs to the fleet operators? My question was he already answered the first part of the question, which was, do they own the battery pack? He said no. They don't own the battery pack.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the second question is, okay, go ahead with the second question. Since you already know the second question, then just provide the answer.
I already asked it. Yes. Just like I said, because what we're doing is we're partnering right on from the start with these manufacturers, and they're the guys who will own the battery packs. Okay, and so we want to give them the control of their batteries and managing and maintaining their batteries as much as possible, because these are very expensive investments for them, and so they will need to what they want to be responsible and to take care of them for as much as they can. And so the first thing is that by control, we have different manufacturers who want to adopt different models. Like, for example, you have some manufacturers who want to sell, but who want to sell the motorbike without the battery, and then they will own all the batteries. And so they will sort of be leasing the battery to you. So whichever battery you find, you go use it for that one ride and then take it back to a swap center. It will come to Chargi, be charged again, and then redistributed back. For the other one is more of a, you buy a bike, some will sell the bike and then sell the bike with one battery pack, and then sort of have people, just own one battery, but not a specific battery. Then you just have to go swap it, and swap with another one, and then but you still own a battery. So what we're doing, and that is where now my background in my tech background comes in, where we're going to have an online platform fully with an app and a backend system. So what happens is every battery will be serialized.
You were saying that you intend on using an online portal so that all the batteries will be serialized irrespective of the source. That's how you're going to track the swapping. Is that it?
Yes.
And then this portal is almost done.
Yes, almost done. Yeah.
Okay. I have some questions along those lines. So my question to you, all right, is that Okay, I understand that you are using technology to solve the logistics of tracking and managing the batteries, but how does that play to the end consumer? Because if I have a motorbike from company A, company B also may have a battery that is compatible with my company A motorbike. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
situations where, let's say, when you come to station 3, uh, only company B's batteries are there. Are company
Mm-hmm.
B's batteries going to be used for me in that context?
No, for now we do not have any. For now, it's not going to be possible because we don't have like any agreement.
You were saying that
Okay, sorry.
you were saying that it for now it not be possible to do that because
Yes, yes. So because currently, first of all, we do not have any two companies currently using similar battery packs. Like if I find some are using 72, others are using 48, 64, and so we have different like ways, especially even with the connectors to the batteries, for example, are different. We still haven't gotten to a point where we have like standardized things, but together with UNEP and some of the manufacturers, we're working on a forum where we get together as all the players in the EV industry, especially the two-wheeler, three-wheeler EV industry, and sort of work on some of the ways in which you can standardize things or have several different products that you can choose to use, or just have like a guideline of what specific batteries you can use, or what general, just general guidelines. So we are still working on such a forum in the next coming weeks or months together with UNEP, and so after that, it will probably be possible to now do interoperability with different companies. But for now, our work, what we're doing to solve that is with the same online portal, we are monitoring availability of batteries in the centers. So when because for every battery, so when a vendor swaps a battery, they record it on the app and we see it on our portal. And so because it's going to have one big map that has like different red, yellow, green zones depending on the availability of batteries. And so once we find red zones or high demand areas, we're going to make sure that batteries reach there before they're actually depleted. So the other thing is, because you're using a hub and spoke model, I don't know if you're conversant with the hub
so
and spoke
what do you
model.
mean by
So we're
the
going
hub
to
and
have,
spoke model?
yes, so a few major centers and then other last mile center and delivery centers. And so what we're going to do is to optimize our logistics, we are going to use our platform to coordinate delivery from the hub. And so, for example, if station A and station B are served by the same hub, and station B is running out of a specific type of battery, and so we're just going to coordinate with the hub and sort of have if the situation demands, we can get some batteries from station A, deliver.
I think because of internet problems, Mohammed has to sort of go off because he's struggling. He's not following the conversation. But
Okay,
then,
no worries.
yeah, you know,
I've been to Nigeria. I know the hassle with internet.
I see. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Now, basically, it means that there are no standards. So there's no standardized plug that you guys are using
Yes. So
there
currently we
for
do
the
not.
bikes.
We've not yet had
So,
that
so,
such
so,
conversations.
so, so, which is more popular, charging or swapping? I'm talking about for the e-bikes.
Of course, for the e-bikes, for the e-motorbikes, swapping is definitely the most popular one, especially for the use case of the Kenyan border industry. because these guys are always on the move. They want to be, always on the road, delivering stuff, carrying people, carrying goods. And so you don't want to have this guy wait for 3-4 hours for the battery to be charged. Okay. So you want to give them the freedom of being anywhere at whatever time.
I'm saying that the issue of convenience, all right. And what I mean by that is, if I have a motorbike, maybe I have decided to keep my battery well, okay. But then when I want to swap it with a fully charged one at the swap station, a charging swap station, I cannot guarantee how well the replacement battery has been kept. Yeah, understand. So maybe the replacement battery has been so, instead of it going the required maybe 100 kilometers, even though it's fully charged, it may go 50 kilometers. I don't know. So how is
charging? I get the question.
How
so
is charging,
for that,
how are you
for that? One of the things you're mostly focusing on, especially even with the current stage where we're not making the final designs of everything, we're focusing heavily on the QA, that is quality assurance, where for every battery, before it actually goes to charging, it will have to go through our QA team to make sure everything in the battery is working well. We are also in very early talks with some instrumentation companies to with the high-end, top-of-the-line equipment to do battery analysis. All that. Both the hardware and the software part of it. Because so can be able to analyze the individual battery cells and know which ones are going good, which ones are bad. And for a battery to be charged, it first of all has to pass our tests. We have to make sure that this battery is up to standard and it's okay. And if it needs any repairs or anything to be done to it, we'll obviously coordinate with the manufacturers of that battery to either know if we're going to change some battery cells or to just leave it out altogether. So quality is something we're very focused on.
Okay. Now, I will let that one rest over there. The next question is with the sourcing of electricity.
Okay. You're breaking a little.
I say the electricity that you are using to charge your battery, because what's basically going to happen is that when you have a battery, you charge it and you're waiting for somebody to come with an empty one to replace it, to swap it with. Is that also? So what is your plans in terms of the source of the electricity you're going to use at your charging stations? Are you going to connect to Kenya Power, for example, or you have some sort of self-generation?
Kenya Power electricity is very costly currently, and so charging in large scale, charging the batteries in large scale, for example, because our first phase, we intend our first phase to have a capacity of 1,000 batteries. Charging 1,000 batteries on the grid would be terribly costly, and so it wouldn't make business sense, and it wouldn't make using an EV any cheaper than using a petrol bike. And so what we're doing is we right from the start we decided to use solar, and solar is, yes, it's expensive to set up, and it's going to take up quite a huge capex in the start, but in the long run it will be the better solution because it's going to be the cheaper alternative for power. So some of the options we have is partnering with solar providers who will provide with the solar infrastructure for us for a long-term repayment plan. Alternatively, we have new ideas, new options coming up every day. Some are still too early to let them out, but we have some interesting plans going on how to get the power production. But we don't want to actually focus on the power production ourselves because our business is just using the power to charge these batteries. And so we are going to, solar remains to be one of the main options that you're going for. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's my question is that how do you choose? What criteria informs the choice of charging locations where you decide to set up your charging or swapping stations? Okay, because the relationship between the range of an electric vehicle and the number of charging stations follows the inverse square rule. Yeah, the inverse square rule means that maybe if you have the range on one side is equal to one, the ratio is proportional to 1 over the square root. You get what I'm saying? So you see that if you have a charging a car here, a charging station here, if the range, you estimate the diameter as the range and draw a cycle. I hope you understand. So the more the range of the bikes, the less the number of charging stations that you will need.
Yes.
So what informs your?
For logistics, we are looking at it from two angles. That is one, we're going to focus on high density areas, like for example, the suburbs with the highest uptake of EVs and the highest number, actually even like currently the areas with the highest numbers of ICE bikes and that are most likely to take up the EVs. You're going to have more and a denser network of swap stations there. Okay. And then, so we're going to make sure that in almost in every suburb or every area of Nairobi or any city that you go to, you're going to have at least some swapping stations in that area. And then what we now do is now with the same thing like with the drawing a circle and with the range, make sure that along major roads we have swap stations. For example, we try and see from the use case of the riders and also from data. Actually, data is one of the things we are relying on heavily at Chargi. So for example, we realize that most riders from area A usually go to area B and C and back. And so we are through the routes that most of them take, we make sure that along those routes, we're going to have swap stations so that to try and minimize the possibility of someone being on transit and then having their battery fail on them. And that's so we're focusing on suburbs and highways, suburbs and highways or routes that these riders take.
Oh, okay. Now.
Yeah.
But you didn't say anything about the manufacturers or the fleet operators, because I would have thought that they having a vested interest will even recommend that, oh, maybe we have a hub here, or we have a let's say a lot of customers in this neighborhood, so there will be a sort of intel in terms of collaborating in that direction so that we can then set up a charging station or swapping station there. It is
yeah, of course,
an observation.
Yeah, of course, with continued uptake, we now continue, getting suggestions, not even from just the manufacturers, but also from the general public that, hey, I think if we got a swap station here, it would be easier so that we can be able to commit from point A to point B without any worries. But in the earlier phases, we do not want to sort of rely on the markets for the location because the market is actually now waiting for us. We want to set up stations on a preemptive
manner.
Basis.
And because one of the things that is actually working on our advantage is that we technically need no money. Okay, apart from marketing, branding of the centers and all, we don't need any capital to open a new swap station because you're using existing vendors for that. And so
Existing what?
it's going to be very easy to open. Pardon?
You are using existing what?
Pardon?
You are using
Existing vendors. Existing vendors.
We'll get that. Please continue.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I was saying because you're using existing vendors, like for example, people who vend gas cylinders, for example, and they already have that infrastructure in the app. And so we just need to sign them up on a platform, give them some training on how to swap the batteries and also how to record the swaps on our app. And then it will just be now a matter of waiting for people to buy the bikes and have these people as our vendors. As they continue recording demand, we continue supplying them with more batteries. And so as much as possible, and also to use our own data to determine when we're going to set up these stations.
Okay. Now let's talk about what we are doing. Money. First of all, you see, what you are describing is money. Either way you look at it, because it's infrastructure. Okay, you can use technology to reduce the capital expense, but it's still capital expense because you have to buy these batteries. You have to finance the people who are going to do the training. It's a cost. Overseeing the management of these people is a cost. Siting location is a cost. The energy, you're talking about solar or whatever. These are all huge costs. How are you financing? How have you financed? How are you financing? And how do you intend to finance all this?
The manufacturer is actually a very critical. Sorry. Yeah. So the manufacturer is obviously a very critical point in operations. And so what you're doing is that in most in the bigger what do we call them? In the bigger capex requirements, like for example, solar, we are not buying any solar ourselves. We now set up the solar at their own cost for a long-term, revenue model plan where they get some revenue of the money we make for an extended period of time. And so that is one way of avoiding that initial capex of solar.
Wait,
we're also not buying batteries.
When you say manufacturer, are you talking about the battery manufacturer or the motorcycle manufacturer?
For the batteries, for the solar. What do you mean?
I'm confused.
Oh, so okay, let me say this. So let me repeat. So for the solar, we're not going to buy any solar ourselves. We are going to talk. We actually in talks with over 5 solar manufacturers or solar providers who will come set up. So we're going to obviously, equipment manufacturers. So we're going to, out of 5, you're going to at least choose 1 or 2. We're going to work within the long term. They're going to set up the solar for us for a long-term repayment revenue model where they get some money of our revenue. For the batteries, also, we are not buying any batteries. It is these manufacturers. Okay, so the battery and the bike and battery manufacturers, we just, looking at them as just one, the brand dealing in the bike. Because, for example, let me give you an example. For example, we have one of them as Ficardelivery, which is the closest, with one of the closest relationships that we have so far. And so, if to us, Fika is a manufacturer. So whether they're buying bikes or whether they are outsourcing manufacturing or whether they're assembling, we're just classifying them as a bike manufacturer, and they are responsible for their batteries and also for their bikes. And so, because we're not going to buy any batteries ourselves, they're going to be the guys owning all the batteries.
and we're just going to be charging them the batteries for them.
So
so that's another cost. So we have avoided
okay.
the battery.
So we are offering
cost.
this intermediation, basically.
Pardon?
So what we are doing is basically this intermediation, like the Uber model, even the Ficardelivery, which is we are bridging two sides of a marketplace. So and removing the frictions in the transaction. I think I understand.
Yes.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So what we actually, our business at Chargi is charging and distribution. Charging, that is, getting electricity into batteries and distributing that to swap stations.
Okay. Now, next question. How are you selling that service? Is it on a per kilowatt hour basis or on a size? I mean, what's a charging like? The cost of charging. How do you charge your customers?
The cost of charging, we are looking at it in the. Oh, sorry. So I'm saying we're looking at it from the holistic view of let's say charging 1,000 batteries costs us this amount, right? And so we divide that by 1,000, and so this is the amount per battery that we need to charge for the charging of the battery, and maybe the transportation for 1,000 batteries costs us maybe this amount of money. So we divide that by 1,000, we get the cost for one battery. So the whole thing, we just like looking at it from the total the total cost that is incurred on us, and then divide that by the number of batteries. And so as we go on, and that's actually why we need the pilots, so that we can get a sense of these figures and go to actually the specific, to the last shilling of how this money is actually used, because we have our own estimates from the engineering side of things. We know, we can be able to see the cost of power production, cost of transportation, and of course for transportation we're going to use electric tuk-tuks and electric bikes. So because the charging is also coming from our facility, so we have no expenses there. So we'll try and see how much money does it actually cost us to charge or to produce this power. How much money does it cost us to transport? How much money does the vendor need as commission? And then add a small profit margin. And from the pilot and from the first few months of operation, we'll have now already arrived at a number. But we want to keep the number to at least a half of normal operation costs. So, for example, for 100 kilometers in Kenya, a normal ICE bike consumes around 250 shillings. That is around $2.50. Yeah, so we want to keep our prices per swap for 100 kilometers worth of swap to be between $1 and $1.50.
Okay, I get that. You see, but the crux of my question was, okay, I'm a customer. When I come to the Ficardelivery station, basically what I'm getting is a new container with energy inside, and I'm giving you in exchange my depleted container without energy. All right. So that energy that is what I'm paying for. How is it priced? Is this that okay? If we are getting, we are swapping the 10 kilowatt hour battery, this is the standard cost for the 10 kilowatt hour battery, or do we say it's by range? So let's say we know that this battery size can give you 100 kilometers. So therefore, if you are getting a battery with a range of 100 kilometers, this is how much you get. I hope you understand, because depending on the engineering, two motorbikes can have different battery pack sizes. One may be 10 kilowatt hours, one may be 15, but they all have the same range. So which metric are you using to charge? So to charge the consumer.
So of course the capacity of the battery, we're looking at the power. The main thing we're looking at is the power capacity that we have charged, that we have actually, you know, charged inside the battery. And so if it's a bigger battery, of course, it's going to be a more expensive. If it's a smaller battery size, it's going to be less expensive. But again, things like transportation and vendor commission, that will be constant. So what will be different? What will set the differences? And that is what will set the differences between the bikes from different manufacturers is if this manufacturer has a battery that is, you know, has a bigger capacity, of course, swapping that will be a little bit more expensive. It may not be very much expensive because we are basically getting our power for free. We are not being
I
sold that
get the
power
model. I get the
per
model.
kilowatt hour.
I get
Like
the
the
model.
power is not selling that. Yes, yeah.
I get the
And so
model. It's a lot of basically leveraging networks. I get it clearly. Clearly, you're somebody who has read Lean Startup. Yeah, deep into the Lean design philosophy. I still come back to the model. Okay, so for example, currently all this development work that you have done, how did you finance it? Is it that the developers, they are doing it in exchange for shares, or you are paying them? You know what I'm saying? Where is the money from the initial movements coming from?
Yes. So for now, for the engineers, because I have a team of 3 engineers, so 3 other engineers apart from myself. So those are basically co-founders of the company. So they're just going to have a share of the company. I'm mostly coordinating the development of the platform through some other teams that I work with. Like I said, I'm deep into the tech scene, and so we're also not having any initial capex on the online platform. So far we have actually not had to invest a lot of money because most of the work is being done in-house by our own engineers. And so as we go forward, as we now start setting up the pilot, that is when we're going to need the money to do that. And so because we have other jobs, like, you know, I have other jobs that I do, the other engineers also have other things that they do. So what we do is that we when we need money, for now we just bootstrap with the money that we have, with the money that we make from other sources. But we are looking to raise just a small, not a lot of cash, but enough cash for the pilot in the next 1 month. Do something we're doing as a team. And so once we raise that, okay, so basically what we're doing is currently, because our engineers are very, let's say they're very technical, we are very skilled in the area of energy and solar and all that. So what we're
Energy
doing
and
is,
solar.
we're currently, and you know, the whole power distribution and all that. So what we're doing is to raise money for Chargi, we are using Chargi to install solar for people's homes. So we have actually had people come to us and be like, "Oh, so you guys are using solar? Yes, I need solar in my house. Can you come install it for me and you know, give me a costing for that?" And so currently that's what we're doing to raise funds for the pilots. Basically.
Okay. So that means that you basically bootstrapped up to now.
Yeah. We're bootstrapping first, and so actually the reason we are doing the pilot is because is basically to be able to finance the project, and in the sense of most investors want to see a pilot first before they invest actual money in a company, especially in an African company or in a African founded company. They want to see some proof of concept. They want to see a pilot and to see that what they're investing in is actually viable before they can give you any money. And so we're doing the pilot to partly to be able to have data for ourselves to use and to see to have a feel of the market first, and also to be able to have data that we can show to investors and have them invest in Chargi.
So these investors that you have in mind, are they Africans or non-Africans?
Most of them are non-Africans. Most of the VCs that we've talked to so far are non-Africans, mostly European and American, and some have local presence here, and others do not have any local presence. We actually have VCs and basically investing firms, angels who are focusing in the African energy and electric mobility space. We have talked to quite a few, and they're willing to take on discussions with us, especially after the pilot or during our pilot. And so we have ones, those that are specifically looking to invest in EV and e-mobility in Kenya or in Africa. And then you have others who are just general VC who are looking for business that they can invest in, in Africa.
I would like
general.
to get in touch with some of these people. We'll bring them here. Let them talk.
Yeah, of course, I can.
Because we have a lot of people doing things on the continent, and one of the things I've seen is we really need financing. Okay, so
Yes,
and
yes.
some have proof of concepts, prototypes, whatever you want to call it, already done. I wanted to know what is the average electricity power requirement of a charging station that's or swapping station that you are talking about. Okay.
So for our first phase, like I told you, we're looking for a capacity of charging 1,000 batteries at a go. So
1,000
for
batteries
the
each of
1,000
what
battery
capacity?
capacity, we are looking at power of around. Pardon?
Continue what you're saying.
Hello.
Hello, please continue what you're saying.
Oh yeah. So with the calculations that we currently have, we have given a 20% quota to each of the manufacturer. In that for each manufacturer that we're working with, that is the partners who make the bikes. Given each a 20% quota in that, for example, with 1,000 batteries, and we have 5 partners. So it means that each of the manufacturers is going to have around 200 batteries with us. And so with all the calculations, with the average calculations that we have, we're going to use around 0.5 megawatt of power. You're going to need a capacity of around 0.5 megawatt
For one charging station.
to be able to charge 1,000. Yeah, to be able to charge the 1,000 batteries. And so, but as you know, like we're going to just need 31 charging station, and then the rest will just be distribution to the swapping stations. Okay. And
Okay. So let me see if I can
yes.
summarize the business model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, you have relationships with the motorbike operators or owners or manufacturers.
Yes.
So for your
Yes.
for your battery to be swapped, the motorbike you are using as a consumer must have an arrangement with charging. Number one.
Yes.
Then number
Yes.
two,
Yes.
in terms of location, you are partnering with those with existing gas cylinder filling stations. You are into filling gas cylinders, so you are partnering with them. So they already have
Not even filling, not even filling stations, like just gas vendors. So here in Kenya, I don't know how it works in Ghana or any other place, but here in Kenya, you have many people, like anyone can just sign up to be anyone with a shop and with a proper storage in their shop can sign up to be a gas vendor, a gas cylinder vendor. And so they'll receive delivery from the filling stations, and then they will just display them on their shop, and the people can just come and swap them and take them to their houses, and then a truck will
it
come
doesn't
and
work
collect.
that way in Ghana. In Ghana, you can buy empty cylinders, but if you want a fuel cylinder, you go to the filling station, you fill it,
ah,
then you send it back to your homes. Yeah, so
oh,
because it's
okay.
considered obviously it is a hazardous product. Okay,
Uh-huh.
we had a couple of stations exploding. So
Okay.
No, nobody's going to take that risk.
It's it's quite
basically,
different here. It's quite different here. So like literally, if I had a shop in town, I can just say, you know, this is actually you find that there are people who have normal shops, like they have a shop like just selling normal things in a shop, and then outside there they have a small metallic rack that they have set up. You know, they've divided it in rows, and so you know it's a
yeah, they
metallic,
have
you know,
the feelings.
bars that form a box.
I get the idea. They are
Yeah, and
displaying
so they just
the fuel cylinders
yeah
over
they
there.
display the cylinders
Good.
there.
So
So every week
they will be the one who will go to
a
the
vehicle
filling
comes.
station, or the
Pardon?
filling station will send a vehicle to them to come and give them the
Yeah,
fuel
yeah, the
cylinders
filling
and take the
station.
empty ones.
Yeah, and go.
Okay, a bit like
Yeah,
how Coca-Cola does their thing. I get it.
yeah.
So
We're
therefore,
just going to do the same with batteries,
so what we are saying in effect
Mm-hmm.
is that these people who are retailing filled propane or methane cylinders are the
Yes,
ones that we are going to give them the filled batteries. They are going to do the same, but
yes,
instead for filled
yes,
batteries. Okay.
yes.
Now the charging
Mm-hmm.
station will now replace
Mm-hmm.
the filling station in this example. The question therefore
Exactly, exactly.
is:
Uh-huh.
are you partnering with those filling station operators,
Mm-hmm.
or you are going to build your own independent uh, charging stations? Because
Yeah, of course, we're building our own independent charging station.
with your own money.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so therefore, the
Mm-hmm.
hub is the charging station that is owned by Fika, so by Chargi,
Charging. Yes.
and then
Mm-hmm.
the distribution points are these retailers of uh, propane or methane filling filling containers. Okay,
Yes.
it makes sense. Which
Mm-hmm.
also means that you have to have your own way of delivering the filled uh,
Yes.
batteries to them and
Yeah.
picking the empty ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It,
using
it sounds
electric vehicles
obviously,
that we also charge.
obviously.
Yes.
Otherwise, your sustainability model breaks down. I get it. Okay. This sounds
Mm-hmm.
better. It sounds more
Mm-hmm.
bankable. But then
Mm-hmm.
it also means that the app is how these retailers are going to keep track of what they are doing. If they need
Yes.
deliveries, they will going to use the app to make that request. Is that also
Yeah.
okay? And then what about the
So they
consumer?
actually don't need to make a request. We're just going to, so no, the vendors, they're not actually going to need to make any requests. We are going to monitor from our system. Okay. So the app knows, for example, we'll record in our system that we have delivered 20 filled batteries to this vendor. And so every time they swap, we'll know that now the remaining batteries are 19, 18 or 17, all
Yes.
the way where we go to 5 batteries left, and it will give us an alert that this vendor is running out of batteries. So we go and swap
That's
them.
my point. That if
Mm-hmm.
the swap
Mm-hmm.
the software, somebody must indicate that so
Mm-hmm.
and so battery has been swapped for this and so battery. Yeah, sir. That will
Mm-hmm.
be done by the vendor, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that'll be done by the vendor. They'll
Aha.
request, yeah,
So that is how the vendor will interact with the
they'll
system.
notify.
Aha.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh. Every time they
did you
swap, they
get
record. Every time they swap, they record.
exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Because it may be that somebody will swap without recording, then you will not know.
Yeah,
See?
that way we will not know that.
Oh, okay. I think I get it. And then for the consumer, well, all that he can do is that he
Mm-hmm.
can go to an app with a map and know that, oh, there is a swapping station here, and here. Is that also?
Yeah, so actually that is the next thing we want to do. We have not built that yet. We have not built that app yet, but the next thing we want to do is we want to build an app for the consumer that will be able to track them on their journey. and notify them of the next of the stopping stations around them.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
I
maybe
get
they're
that.
going along a certain route, and yeah, but we've not built that yet. But it's in the pipelines of what we're going to build.
Okay. I do understand. It's a good idea. Clearly, looking at the model as I understand it now, then charging is not a major part of it. It's more swapping.
Yes, it's a whole thing. Okay, one cannot be there without the other. You can't have charging without
So
swapping, and you can't have
so if I
swapping
want
without
to charge,
charging.
clearly these
So
people who are retailing the filled batteries cannot charge for me. So I have to go to the main
yeah, they
hub.
cannot charge for you.
So I have to go to the main hub where I can do the charging. Because per this model, maybe
Yeah, so you
for
have
every
to
one
leave.
hub, for every
Uh-huh.
one hub, there may be like 50 or 100 spokes or distribution points.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So it will be more convenient for
No,
me
so
to.
no, actually, that's not what you look. So actually, let me sort of explain. By the hub is not the charging station. The charging station is a source. Okay, and then in our area of operation, we'll identify a few hubs. Okay, like for example, for every 10 spokes, you have one hub, or for every 15 or 10, probably 10 spokes, we have one hub. So a hub is just some sort of like a depot that these batteries go to before they're distributed for the last mile. Okay, and so our van, so let's say like we'll have one main distribution van coming from the charging station. It will only need to make a round to the 5 or 10 hubs that we have around town. Okay, and so these batteries will be put there, and the empty batteries that were collected from the spokes will be taken back to the station. And then what we'll have is now we'll have last mile deliveries from the spoke, from the hub to the different spokes. Okay,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
of batteries, and it's the only spoke in a certain area that is running out of batteries. Like the other spokes in its area are deliver batteries all the way from the source, which is the charging station. We just have the hub coordinate deliver batteries. Okay, and so we'll now make the delivery efficient even to the last mile just by the use of that coolant plant.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming, and it's been a pleasure having you and giving up your last of your
Okay,
time.
it's my pleasure to.
Any last words? Any last words for our
Yeah.
audience? Did you hear what I said?
Last words. Yeah, I had it. Any last words? So, what I'd say is, I think we're at a very critical point in mobility and like we literally making history right now in mobility, and by being the pioneers in this field, especially in the field of charging, and working with the pioneers in the EV sector in the country, because the whole industry is basically just coming up. Almost every manufacturer is currently on their pilot. And so I think it's, whether you're out there, you're a manufacturer, or you're out there, you're a person who would really be interested in owning an EV or in riding an EV. I think the earlier you come into the space, the better it will be for everyone. And the more we support this space and the more we support the shift to EV in general, the better it is. We've all seen what is happening in Europe. Countries like Norway are going very fast and pushing the switch to EVs very aggressively. And it will both be cheaper, be better, more convenient for the environment. And I think it's before you like dismiss EVs. I think you should give us a chance to prove to you that it's actually going to work and that it's actually going to make a difference. And so just encourage not everyone, not just in Kenya or in East Africa, but also in Ghana. We actually been approached by a German company saying that they're doing a similar project in Ghana. I don't know if you've heard about it. I'll probably tell you more about them. But yeah, we have people interested in Rwanda, in South Africa, in Nigeria, and the more we work together as an industry, especially like in Kenya, we've started working together, and things are moving so much faster now. It's better than when everybody's just doing their own stuff. And if it would be better if not just from Kenya, but if everybody in Africa collaborated, have forums, discuss what everybody is doing and how to make things better. I think it's going to be moving in the right direction.
Okay. It's really just made. It recommends to suspicion that some people think that EVs are not going to work. That's one.
Yeah, I've met quite a lot of people asking, can an electric bike climb a hill? Does it move fast? But before people dismiss it, try it. Actually, the first time I rode an EV, my mind was blown.
What EV was that?
It was so good. Huh? But it was just an electric bike, an electric motorcycle by Chargi Energy, another one by Ficardelivery. We also have Opibus in Kenya. The bikes, basically EV bikes are good. The torque is instantaneous, like instant acceleration. The experience is just so good. Once you start, you don't want to stop.
Hey, once you start, you don't have to stop. On that very interesting note, I want to call it a day. But
in this video, I am going to share with you some of the habits that I have acquired
what is this?
since moving to the
I want to end the podcast. So thank you very much.
Okay.